It's a beautiful day here in San Francisco. Perfect for going inside and drawing some letters. So come on, let's go. Hello. Today we are going to letter the word dolphin in real time. This is a wood type specimen that was pulled by Stoof at Letterform Archive, and this is going to be my reference for drawing the word. And I like this because it's got this little dolphin tail serifs, which I thought was kind of sweet, you know. So we're not tied to this. We can kind of create our own proportions and stuff, but this is gonna get us in the right mindset. So basically I'm gonna hide that for now and use my pencil, and I'm just gonna start roughing it out as a very first step, and real loose, no pressure, just make it ugly. And yeah, so this is kind of thinking about the proportions and stuff, and it's pretty low contrast, so the thicks and the thins isn't too much difference between them, just a little bit. So we're going to keep that in mind when we're doing our real rough sketch here. I mean, just real loose. Just trying to get spacing and I already messed it up. Try to get spacing and our proportions down real roughly. So we're going to just take this real slow and just accept every step of the way where it is. So now that I've got this down, just real rough, I'm going to turn on a little grid system because grids are helpful. And Canvas drawing guide, I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to turn this to a pretty small scale here, and I'm going to turn that to pink so it'll show up a little bit better on the video. And then we're going to start to kind of tighten this up a little bit. Actually, I'm going to turn the opacity down. I'm going to draw some basic some extra guides here in red. So we need a baseline. I'm just going to define that right here. And let's see, we need that cap height. Let's put that like right there. And the X height I want to be pretty high. My goal is I want this to be pretty full, so I'm gonna do like a full like a logo type or something where there's just a lot of coverage of just a lot of fullness going on. So I'm gonna make it tight. Descender here, just bring that up to about here, and as we can see, I have a lot of adjusting to do here, so I'm gonna kind of turn that down. I'm gonna bring Dolphin to the top, turn this back up, and with my kind of lasso tool, select tool, I'm gonna just start real rough. Oops, wrong one. Just kind of getting the setup to the grid. And this is real short, so we're gonna stretch that Now normally you don't want to stretch type, but we're going to fix all the proportions, and it'll be good in the end. So let's pull this down up. Let's sample that color again. This I'm going to kind of stretch down. Oops. Kind of erase that. This needs to come up a little bit. This I can kind of stretch. And this I can stretch too. And, okay, let's start to fill these in a little bit better. I'm just going to do real rough filling these in. It's always best to work with solid letters as opposed to outlines, so you can really see what the spacing is doing. And then we'll go into detail all the serifs and stuff, but we're just gonna get the real basic shapes together. We're not being precious at all. This is just getting everything full so we can see what we're doing and we can work with it a little bit better. Now I'm a big fan of real-time process videos, so because it's always fun to see like the pacing. I think that's really helpful, not just how to, but I mean just not the technical aspect, but like what's like a good mindset to have, like how quickly do you move through things. I think there's a lot of things to be gained from watching real-time art and design videos. Now typically the ascenders go a little bit higher than the cap height here, so I'm just going to eyeball this one, just one above the cap height for these ascenders. And I'm just going to do a real crude kind of definition here of what's going on. Of course, on the rounds they have to overshoot the grid lines. And so I guess we're going to the top of the grid lines. We're actually doing full coverage over these grid lines and not stopping short of them. These grid lines are maybe a little thick, but oh well. We'll get there. Okay, we are looking pretty good here. Yeah, the biggest trick is just to like not get too anxious, because it's going to look bad for a while until we really start to add detail and get all the proportions consistent across each of the letters. And as we're drawing, we're constantly spacing, because when you add weight somewhere, that will imply a change in the spacing. So so let's start to kind of even this out. The trick is to space 3 letters at a time. So we're going to look at D-O-L. That's looking all right for now. O-L-F. It's looking pretty good. Actually, this whole thing is looking pretty balanced. H-I-N. I'm going to kind of pull this out a little bit for now. Let's look at our reference again. I can pull this to the top. Let's see here. Okay, let's focus on the N here. Obviously this one goes kind of straight across here and then down. It's pretty wide here and then kind of gets narrower here. So let's see if we can't do that on our end, just without copying it, but just kind of being aware of the moves this one makes. And ours is a little bit more narrow than that, but that's okay. I kind of want it to be compact. So this actually doesn't come up like that, it actually goes straight across. Straight across, and it kind of curves around. Gonna have this a little thicker there, kind of tapers there. And actually I'll leave that up for now. I'll do a little bit of observation. There's a little bit of a indent there. A little bit of an indent here. Serif comes over there. Just very mild indent there. Maybe a little bit lower contrast there. Then you got a pretty wide serif here, so we'll kind of ease that in. Kind of round, the serifs are kind of round at the end, so we'll make sure that we note that. And actually this kind of comes down right away. Just very mildly. I think we can kind of pull this one down a little bit. And I think this is kind of narrow, so let's give that a little more width. Okay, good enough for now. And now that we have that N, we can kind of see how it's gotten a little wider. Kind of built that out. So we're going to now start to adjust everything to bring it up to this level of completion. We can get rid of this H because we're going to take this N and kind of manipulate that to be an H. And what that means is that this right here, we're going to cut and paste and just kind of push this up to our kind of ascender height, which is just beyond that cap height there. And just kind of fill that in. don't think, let's see, is there an H on here? I don't think we've been given an H, so we can, but there are clues as to what our serifs are going to do in the H. Like basically, we're just creating this L. So we got the serif on the left, but not on the right. So we're going to do this for our H serif. Just going to kind of round that out there. Okay, just leave it rough. And also for this I, we're going to get rid of this. Oh, here, this is what I'm going to do. Also, I try to keep everything I'm working on one layer. It just makes things easy when you're copying and pasting, especially during sketch phase. Just so you're not like searching for a layer. So anyway, we're gonna lose this I. We're gonna copy this part of the H because essentially the I is the same as that L, but just up to the X height there. And then this dot, I believe, is a, let's condense here. I believe this is a square. So let's move this over here. It's going to be the same width as this. And we're just going to fill that in, rough it in. It's going to have the same kind of rounded corners. Okay, not a whole lot of fussing right now. Let's just leave that how it is. So already our HIN is looking pretty good. Oh, and look at this, we got an L. So let's do that same trick where we're just gonna like steal from the H here. And we're going to move it over here. And we'll kind of clean that up. Cool. We are on our way here. And then the O, I believe, is pretty standard. There's not a whole lot of unique kind of like curves or kind of interesting things. It's pretty straightforward, but just because there's no sort of extra flair doesn't mean we can't make it look real nice here. So let's look at the counter shape, which is the space in between. It's this kind of oval. So I'm gonna pay attention to this shape as much as the outer shape. So I'm going to kind of fill this in, and then I'm going to kind of carve away the counter. Make sure that's all there. It's very, very rounded corner here. So let's see. So this is narrower, but we can still kind of respect that very gradual curve. Eventually we'll go ahead, we're going to measure these thick strokes, and we're going to make sure that they're all equal. One of the nice things about copying and pasting is you know that they're consistent, and it's the consistency that's going to help pull this all together eventually. So, and we've kind of defined this. It's like maybe like 1.5 units high for our thin stroke across. So let's go over here and make sure we kind of respect that. So we're about right, maybe up to here. Start carving that out. It's going to be pretty much this oval shape. And I think this needs to be a little thicker. Okay, so I think that's good enough for the O for now. Now for the P, I don't think there's anything in a reference here that suggests a descender of any kind. So we're going to kind of make that up. I think we're gonna use this kind of serif on the descender of the P, and we could use the O as a model for the P, but I think this kind of curved shape here, I think if we kind of imagine this as a P, kind of drop this descender, have this kind of curve down, I think that could make a nice stylish looking P. So let's at least start there, see what we get. In fact, I'm going to start constructing this from pieces that we already have. So I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm going to copy this N and work with this N and make a P out of it. So I'm going to ease this down. So there's our descender. I'm going to kind of fill that in. And this obviously is sticking out too far. So let's see what this is like. If we, I don't know, this might look awkward. We're going to kind of feel it out here. I don't know if this is good or not. Might have to just even it out a little bit. I know the D is weighted. Actually, not on this one. This is pretty. Like if you look at it, kind of the top and the bottom, they're kind of symmetrical. Some Ds in a kind of this Art Nouveau style kind of come down early, and then most of the weight rests like down here. But this is pretty balanced. So I'm just going to stay true to this. I'm going to collapse that. Yeah, I don't know if I'm feeling this. I think I might just do that kind of symmetrical look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, copy and paste. I'm going to flip that around and kind of work with this a little bit. That looks awkward, but we can fix it. We don't want it to be concave in the middle there, so I'm just going to kind of fill that out, and make this look like one even stroke. Kind of connect that up, connect that. I don't know. Maybe there's too much here. Kind of shave that off a little bit. Well, I think that's good enough for now. Let's kind of move on. I can already see that like the left is has a little nicer shape than the right here. So while I'm at it, I'm gonna cut this in half, get rid of that, take this O, copy paste, flip, and kind of create a more of a symmetrical kind of a thing. Now, I'm doing it this way just because I want it to be really structured. You know, hand lettering can be real loose and look nice, but I don't know, this is just kind of where I'm at now. This is the type of thing that I might eventually bring into Illustrator or some font software and trace these letters. So I want a lot of structural decisions to be defined. I'm also looking at the width, or the counters here look like they're a little narrower than this, so I'm going to go ahead and right here select and move it in a little bit, because we're going to try and build a rhythm, kind of like a fence post, where the space on the outside is identical to the space inside, so there's just a very even rhythm across the whole thing. So I think that P looks better now. Maybe the descender is a little short, a little goofy looking, but we'll figure that out soon. Okay, so now this D. Basically what I can do here, let's look at this one. We got this example. Yeah, essentially I'm just going to take this L again and build a new D on top of it. And we're going to shorten this a little bit because there's our cap height. And oops. I'm just going to kind of rough this out. I think it goes straight out here and then down. Has a nice kind of horizontal feel at the top and bottom. We want these to be about the same width. I think capitals can be a little heavier, but not too much. We'll kind of eyeball it when we get closer. Let's look at our reference. Yeah, we still have this kind of concave thing going, so it kind of swoops down and up and around. So we're going to make sure that we account for that, because that's a cool look. So go straight from the serif up and then down. So we just want to make it look a little, just a little bit indented there. Okay, also let's take a look at our counter on the D again. Looks like it's kind of like a mirror of this serif. It kind of curves around there. So it is, yeah, I don't know what this shape is exactly, but it's like a curved lime wedge or something. So we can account for that. That is curved just like that one. That one's curved. And then this is full, so it's got this nice curve, a little like S curve almost right here. Boom. And same thing right here, another sort of S-curve. Just make sure that that feels fluid and connected. Okay, now where are we at? This is looking pretty good. I'm going to turn off all our grids for a moment and just kind of look at where we are. So let's do it again. Let's look at 3 letters at a time. Kind of look for inconsistencies. I may have taken a chunk out of that O there. We'll fix that. 3 at a time. DOL looking okay. OLP, the L is a little far left, so let me fix that. So pull that over, OLP. And then the IPH now, let's see, the H looks maybe a little far to the right, so I'm gonna scooch that over. Let's see, LPH. Then the HIN is still looking pretty good. But the shape of this D is still looking kind of wonky. I think what I might do, I'm really liking the top, but the bottom is kind of bugging me, so I'm just going to split this down the middle, get rid of that, copy and paste, flip vertically, and now we got some nice symmetry going there. The O, I'm going to kind of fix that. And Dolphin, it's looking pretty good. For the next steps, I would probably go in and start cleaning things up. And I'm going to do that with the monoline brush, which is, I believe, part of the calligraphy default calligraphy set, which I have in my faves here. So I'm on that, and my eraser is going to be the same thing. So I'm going to hold that down, so it's going to copy that brush to be the same as the eraser is now the same as the regular brush. And now we can go in and just kind of tighten things up. I mean, this could potentially work depending on the style you're going for. I mean, the rough edges have a real nice appearance, you know, like maybe if you wanted to keep it rough, you could just go back with this pencil and just kind of clean up some of the obvious kind of artifacts that are just kind of distracting. Sometimes when you copy and paste things, you see like these identical little kind of rough edges, and that's just a dead giveaway that you've copied it. So I like to go in and just make everything look sort of unique. Like this, we can kind of define that serif a little bit more. Like this one, we can kind of make that roundness feel a little more complete. Kind of accentuate that curve there. Here's that same serif problem. Also have this render pencil, which you can kind of go in for super fine detail stuff. That's a default also. Check spacing again. Let's see. I think maybe the L could go further to the right. I'm gonna try and tighten this up just a little bit. Let's bring these in a little closer. Let's see how kind of tight we can make it. And then, of course, a good thing to do is to walk away from it for a while and come back with fresh eyes and see what else you see. Like, little things just start appearing. Like, this is not a very graceful curve here, so I'm just going to kind of give that a little help. And that's the same over here. We want this to be nice and curvy there. So I'm going to leave that for now. Since this is my first real-time video, I'm going to just call this one finished and take a look at what I did and see how I can improve the next one. Yeah, please leave some comments, subscribe, ask questions, whatever you'd like. I really like the idea of quality letterform education, so however I can help, please let me know. And actually, one thing I am going to do is I'm going to see if giving this P a little more length down here would help the whole thing. So I'm just going to kind of slowly move this down just so it doesn't look so stumpy. Maybe something like that. I think maybe proportionally, like if it's kind of roughly the same descender height, ascender height as this descender height, that might make it look balanced, but because it's the only descender, I don't want it to come so far down and just kind of be sticking out too much. If this were a logo or something, it's going to be most useful if it's compact and not stretching out too far all over the place. So, but I kind of like this. I'll turn off my guide here and see what we got. Boom. All right, there it is, Dolphin. Okay, thanks very much. See you soon.